Guys, I have a heavy topic to discuss with you guys today. Yeah, I just want us to get into our health, especially us ladies. I really want us to look after ourselves, and for the men in our lives, really understand where we are coming from and really help us, you know, to continue on this health and well-being journey. So what I kind of wanted to talk about, I might do it in a number of videos. I might do it in a number of videos, so we'll see how it goes. By the way, guys, disclaimer, I am not a doctor, I am not a specialist, none of that. This is all from my own personal experience, what I've gone through and what I've researched and what I understand how my body reacts. So what I want to talk about is fibroids. I know from my understanding and talking to various different of women from all walks of life, different ethnic groups and backgrounds, is that fibroids is extremely common. I didn't know how common this was until I was diagnosed with fibroids. At the time I had no idea what it was or anything of that nature. So before we go any further, let me just explain to you exactly what fibroid is. A non-cancerous growth that develop in or around the womb, the uterus. The growth are made up of muscle and fibroid tissues and vary in sizes. They really do vary in sizes. And guys, if you don't know anything about fibroids, or if you've gone through anything similar, fibroids come in different sizes. They often start off just a tissue or very small, and by the time we kind of know or understand that we have it, symptoms of fibroids are very common. A lot of the times you could be having symptoms and you don't even think it's anything to do with fibroids. I know prior to me being diagnosed with having fibroids, I was having symptoms, you know, there was heavy menstrual, there was heavy bleeding, there was tiredness, there was headache, there was fatigue. My pain during my menstrual cycle was extremely bad. Like there was times where I couldn't even walk. It was that bad, you know. I had to take days off work because I just could not physically be able to manage myself. So that's how painful my menstrual cycle was at the time, when I didn't even know I was going through it. I just thought, you know what, like they always say, oh, it's the time of the month, oh, you know, and that's the joke amongst us ladies. We often know just that it's the time of the month, you know. Your bloatedness, you know, you get bloated around your belly, oh, it's just that time of the month, and then you start eating all types of food, oh, it's just bloatedness. You know, some people might say, oh, I look about 3 months pregnant now, but without even thinking that there is anything deeper than just that time of the month, you know. So these are the symptoms, you know. You're tired, you're fatigued, you know, you just lack of energy, you know. You might not feel confident, you know. You have low self-esteem, anxiety, anxiousness, you know. These are symptoms that come across very common, very familiar, very similar to someone who potentially, you might even think that you're pregnant, but you know, these are the symptoms of, you know, potentially suffering from fibroids. You know, wanting to go and urinate all the time, or you know, feeling full a lot quicker. These are symptoms of potentially having fibroids, and these are the symptoms that I felt when I was going through fibroids. So let me just kind of let you know how I discovered that I had fibroids. I was actually just laying down in bed one day, and I thought to myself, I'm exercising, I'm trying to eat correct. I know I eat junk, but it's not in the excess of, you know, with me working out, with me actually trying to be on a healthier lifestyle, you know. I should see my belly flat, you know. But unfortunately I was just laying down one evening, and then I noticed that I had like a bump. Ladies, if you know that, you know, when you wake up in the morning, our belly is usually the flattest because our body would have, you know, just done its thing overnight. Men as well. And also, you know, if you haven't eaten much, you know, whenever we lay down, it's usually there's a level of flat fatness there, you know, compared to when we're standing up. So I was just laying down one time, and then I just seen this curve, and I looked down and I said, why do I have, it was a significant curve that just hanged, you know, where the fupa section is, the lower part. And I said, and I felt, and I started to feel, and it felt like a hard rock. I said to myself, why, you know, what is this? You know, immediately what I did was I did go down to my GP, and obviously they thought that I could be pregnant, but that was not the case. And then they referred me to the hospital for further testing, and then they discovered that I did have fibroids. So at the time, guys, I had no idea what fibroid was, what it is. I ain't had a clue. I did not know. I was like, what is that? My question was, what is it? How did I get it? How do I get rid of it? And they didn't, you know, at the time they couldn't tell me exactly how I got it, and they couldn't really give me a straight answer how to get rid of it. So what ended up happening to me was I ended up going through a set of referral appointment after appointment after appointment for a good almost a 2-year span, you know, almost a 2-year span. I went through appointment after appointment, come back in 3 months, come back in 6 months, come back in 3 months, come back in 2 months, and the whole time, guys, I'm going through the motion and this fibroid. And mind you, I did have a few. It's getting bigger, 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 to the point where now my self-esteem is going down, my anxiety is rising, my confidence is going down the drain. I don't feel comfortable. I don't have any, I'm just lifeless, you know. It gets to the point where I'm emotional all the time because I'm not comfortable with my body. I'm not understanding, because when I was going through the emotions of the appointments, they couldn't really tell me exactly, you know, how I got it and what to do to really get rid of it, because mine grew to a point where it was a bit it was a bit more complex, you know. So, and when I was doing my research, I said I don't want any operation that will remove my uterus. I don't want that. So that was that, basically, guys. I'll divulge into more, but let me just let you know about, you know, the treatments available. One of the main treatments that usually pops out, I know for myself, when I did go to the doctor, they immediately said to me, you know, hysterectomy. And prior to kind of me hearing that, I already knew when I was with my first couple of appointments, you know, when we started having discussion, because what had happened was, when I was getting referred, you know, my gynecologist was just saying to me, you know, they were still trying to figure out exactly what's going on. So I would get referred, 3 months, come back again, we'll monitor. So I was constantly under monitoring. I was always being monitored, not really given my let me tell you, my first appointment, actually, my gynecologist said to me, why don't you go on Google, on the NHS website, you tell me what procedures you want to have, come back to me, and then we can discuss it. So I was like, wait, hang on a minute. I came to you and you're telling me that I need to go and do research about what I need to do, when I don't even know what exactly I'm battling with. So from then on, I knew that, do you know what, I'm not going to listen to you. Not to say that I'm not going to listen to a doctor, but I need to take my health into my own hands. That's when I really decided, you know what is this? And you know, I did my research and I found out that, you know, a lot of foods that we eat, you know, can imbalance, can bring growth hormones, and is filled with a lot of junk that could potentially, it was a build up, from what I understood, it was just a build up of dirt and junk. That's how I see fibroids in my head, you know, that it's just like a build up, and over time, you know, is fed. The weirdest thing, I don't know how long I lived with the fibroid before it really started to get fed and just bloom. It's almost like as soon as I was diagnosed with having fibroid, it just bloomed, you know, it just grew into its own life form. But prior to that, yes, I was having symptoms and it was probably just hidden away. But soon as that diagnosis came and, you know, I was getting referred, it just grew and grew and grew and grew and grew. Like I couldn't contain it, and you know, I did everything that I could. So I took the matters into my own hand. So I said to my gynecologist, I said, we're not going to have no operation taking no uterus out. We're not doing that. You're not going to about to tell me to go and get pregnant. Hold on, I can't. You're not going to tell me that my only solution is if I get pregnant and then that's the solution, because we're not about to bring babies into this world just for my health benefit. You know, that could potentially, you know, you don't know the complications that could impact me or the baby. Like, we're not going to be like that. We're not just going to wait until menopause, because according to, you know, my gynecologist, when you're at menopause, that's when they're kind of like, it's not non-existent. While I'm still young and I have this thing, I don't know exactly how it just manifested itself. I don't know how to get rid of it. You know, and I'm not removing my uterus. Like, you're gonna find, I was at gynecologist, sir, you're gonna find a way. You're gonna find a way, because we're gonna do something about this. So that's when I really started my health and my well-being journey, and I stopped eating meat, because I from the research I was like, okay, there's too much going on in this meat that I'm buying. You know, the food, I was like, there's too much going on in these foods, the sugar, there was just too much going on. So I decided to cut down on the things that I believed, you know, were just feeding this growth, this, I don't know what to call it, which is feeding this fibroid, which is feeding it. So I just cut out sugar. I used to literally go into the shop. There was nothing that I bought that I didn't read the back of a packet. That's how much I was like, I was so adamant that I'm gonna cure it naturally. But because my fibroid was so big, it was about 32 to 35 centimeters. It was big, you know. I looked about 6 months pregnant, if you want to check out the picture. But yeah, it just grew into its own life form, that I couldn't control it. So I knew that a procedure had to be done, but I was adamant to do everything in my power to kind of do what I needed to do to get my body to a certain stage. I really want us to get into the conversation. If you know somebody, if you've experienced fibroids, if you are currently going through fibroids, if you're having symptoms like fibroids, even for the men, I know my audience is varied. If you have any sisters or anybody going through it, drop a red heart in the comment sections if you are familiar with fibroids, or you've kind of have an idea. Just drop me a red heart. You know, this is a conversation that I want us to continue doing. They do say that, you know, black women have a high percentage of having fibroids, but that's the statistics. So guys, I will continue this topic. So I want to share my experience of my procedures, what happened to me, my recovery, how long it took me to recover. Do I still have fibroids? Is still, you know, there's still a lot that, you know, I'm happy to share. You know, if you want to see more, I'm happy to share. But guys, if you are feeling any type of way, or if you feeling any of the symptoms listed or mentioned, don't be afraid. Go and check your GP. Don't let them just say to you, you're fine. No, let them check your inside, because had I not had a scan, had I not just, you know, complained, because I did put a complaint through, I wouldn't, I don't know how long it would have taken before I finally got my procedure done, you know. So, you know, make sure if you're feeling any type of symptoms that you're unsure is abnormal, because ladies, we know our bodies, we know exactly what, you know, we know. So if you are feeling any type of way, you're unsure, you know, our gut health, our woman health, our uterus, if you are new, you haven't subscribed, make sure that you do. Let's continue the conversation. let's continue the conversation. This is very very common. You know, when I was going through my my initial shock of discovering that I have fibroid, I was so surprised the amount of women that suffer through this in silence. You know, it's painful, it's draining, it's tiring, it's exhausting. You know, it's exhausting. You know, it's emotionally as well. Let's look after ourselves, guys. I'll see you guys in the next one.